Big year in prospect, post-Zimbabwe, the West Indies tour, multiple test matches on home soil, and obviously who takes over as the Indian coach, because he will have a formative influence on what promises to be a great Indian team in the making, and someone who has made a major difference in the last 18 months to talk about whether or not he will continue as team director, coach, whatever, if given the opportunities joining me. Ravi Shastri, thank you very much for talking to me. Two most improved sides in the last 18 months, England and India, would you agree?
Across all formats, definitely. I mean, no question about that. England have been fabulous, especially in the test arena. India, I think, across all formats. And if you look at just the one-day format, I would say Bangladesh, gets in there, because they've had some outstanding performances at home, some seriously good young talent for T20 and for the one-day game. But across all formats, I say India and then England.
Okay, my straight, blunt question. Whole country is asking, if Ravi Shastri is given the job, will you take it?
When have I ever said no? I'm only reading in the media that, he may not be interested.
They're saying your commentary commitments, X commitment, Y commitment.
I do not shirk from a challenge, and I do not run away from a challenge. I've seen what this team has done in 18 months, and I know what this team will be 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line. And if, like I keep saying, if the BCCI is happy with what I have done, at the end of the day, they are my guardians. I am quite prepared to carry on.
That's the first time Ravi Shastri is actually saying on record, I hope the BCCI is listening, that he is available. Let me once again ask you for my viewers. You are available from 2016 till 2019.
Absolutely. There's no question about that. And I mean, there was never, I wasn't thinking anything otherwise. I'm there because, like I said, when that team has made such a drastic improvement, it is not just me, it's my support staff, who have played an equally important role. It's the players, who rose to the occasion, who wanted to compete. They've had to make certain adjustments. They've done all that. We've had two captains, two champions, in MS and Virat, one for one format, the other for the other format. And there's been no problem whatsoever. And the bottom line with this team is what you see is what you get. There's total trust, there's total unity there, and there's no, you will never find someone speaking behind anybody's back or anything of that sort. If you take a hit, we all take it together. If we win, we enjoy it together. There's no I in this team, it's we. And that includes the players, support staff, everybody.
When we take, when we sort of go back in time, 2014, this team was in a bad shape in England. I mean, I was there, you were there, and I remember talking to you after that Oval Test match right outside. We were losing in 3.5 days. To take over at that point in time was difficult, was challenging. What all did you do to bring about the transformation that we are seeing?
See, one thing, Boria, was very clear. You mentioned very bad performance. Totally agree. But in my mind, it was a bad performance, but not a bad team.
Okay.
So it was straight away getting into the mindset of telling the players very clearly to forget the past and look ahead. And
Sorry
look ahead thinking
you're right,
positive.
because Lords, the same team, won that Lords Test match on a difficult wicket, one of our best ever victories.
So if you look at that tour, you saw some fabulous cricket. Like at Lords, they won the way Jinx batted with that 100, and
Correct.
then Ishan taking 8 wickets towards the end. Good performances from Bhuvi and Jadoo down the order. It was fabulous. Yet, at certain times, you saw some spineless cricket.
That's the word.
Yeah, spineless cricket, which I told the boys straight. So it was a case of them liking it or not, but a case of accepting it. And then getting out of that and rising to the occasion. So, for them, that should give them more job satisfaction than anything they've done. From where they were in England to where they are now. And it comes with the hard work they have put in. Our job from the outside is to prepare a player to the best of his ability, to make him, put him in a zone where he's comfortable, and to allow him to go out there and exhibit his skills fearlessly and enjoy himself.
See, for me, the biggest transformation is between 2011 and 2014. I mean, my biggest criticism of MS is overseas conditions as a test match side, we did not perform. And under Virat, under you recently, we have competed in Australia, it could have been 2-2. That I think is the singular achievement over the last few years, a couple of years. How did that transformation happen? What did you tell the boys?
Well, that was the biggest demand. It was not telling the boys, it was a demand that you guys can do it. And do not be afraid, if of winning or losing. It's only when you're too scared of failure, when you start playing totally differently, you start thinking totally differently. You go out there playing to win, which means you want to take the game forward. You back your strengths and put yourselves by picking a team, getting into a mindset when you go out there in the middle that you're playing to win. You're not worried if the opposition is Australia, England, anybody. It is you're putting your best cards out there in going for a win. And that mindset, if it spreads around and you have 7, 8, 9, 11 players, even better. But if you have 7, 8, 9 people thinking in that fashion, then you will see the results. And that's exactly what happened in Adelaide. I mean, a lot of teams would have said, let's play this first session, then take it from there. But the fact of the matter, you had a captain from the outset, he said, we are going for it. Okay? And that made a massive difference, because if you had played any other way, that game was over half an hour before lunch or half an hour after lunch. But the fact that you were prepared to take the attack to the opposition, the game went on till that final session of play. Australia might have won that game, but what the whole world saw was probably one of the greatest fourth innings. Batting.
And India should have won. I mean, it was, we were there. We were right there.
Yeah, you were right there. 205 for 2 or at T, I think, or a little more than that. But then that's Test cricket. You think you've got it. You make one mistake, the opposition sees.
No, that actually doesn't matter, because the fact is, ultimately, the team showed mettle, and that's what you wanted to see from your team.
Absolutely. If you look at all those 4 Test matches, you put yourselves in a position where you were on top. The next test in at the Gabba.
And the Gabba, and
and you were like 400, and Australia were 240 for 6. And then a couple of big partnerships took the game away. Even in the chase, it was only 170 to get. There were 6 down, 7 down. Again in Melbourne, you were 400 for 2 at one stage, looking good to take a lead of 150. And that was one of the best exhibitions of batting you'll ever get.
Correct.
Ajit Rane and Virat Kohli batting on that Saturday afternoon in the G was outstanding. Again in Sydney, you put yourself up there. And for me, the great character the boys showed was on those last days. It's not easy to bat the last day of a game to save a test match at the MCG and at the SCG. This is Australia's backyard.
100%.
For them to bat 5-6 hours to save a test match, for me, it might have not been a win, but it showed that this team has some merit.
I have spoken to a number of the boys. I mean, some of them are fairly sort of comfortable talking, and all of them tell me that you were approachable, they were comfortable with you, they could open up to you, and your style made them feel very happy in the dressing room.
See, if it's about man management, it's about communication. If an individual is afraid to communicate with me, then I'm not doing my job. As simple as that. You have to deal with different people differently. But that comes with experience. I have not missed a beat in 35, 36 years. As a player, as a broadcaster, now as a director of the team. So, you understand mindsets. You've traveled the globe to cover cricket. You understand different oppositions, conditions. So, that all comes into play. Plus, when you have a support staff that is vastly experienced as well, people might think they've just come from nowhere. You threw out a lottery and 3 guys picked it and come. No, sorry. They've come through the hard yards. They all come, and which the BCCI should be proud of. They've come from the BCCI National NCA coaching system.
Everyone is saying Sridhar is great. I mean, yes, he might not be a really sort of Jonty Rhodes kind of brand, but he's great.
All of them. You took 76 out of 80 wickets in the World Cup. Okay? You were number 1 team, you're number 2 test team. You took 60 wickets against Sri Lanka and South Africa to win the series. I mean, 100%. I'm talking here 100%, and over there, close to 95. That's what Bharat Arun brings to the table. With years, he's a former under-19 manager that won the World Cup. Tons of experience. Sridhar, outstanding. No one thought India could have a fielding coach like that.
And this is the best Indian fielding side,
Yeah.
no mistake.
Yeah, and where the guys, and they take pride in their fielding. They compete off the field in their fielding sessions. It's not that they just have to go through the grind. They want to beat each other. So that is when you start enjoying fielding. Then you'll see the standard going to the level it has. And then Sridhar again, through the system. Sanjay Bangar, again, did his level, whatever, 2 or 3, whatever, come through the system. So, you know, no credit is too high for that support staff. And when I say the 2 most improved teams in the world, they both have had changes in their support system. And it's made a massive difference, England and India.
Now let me ask you about Virat. You know, in England, Virat was nicking it off Anderson, off Broad, slips out. But yes, he went to Tendulkar, yes, all of that happened. But today, look at the man and look at what he's achieving. I mean, unreal batsmanship in the IPL, unreal in the World T20. Talk about your experience of managing Virat as director, his evolution as a batsman, and what sort of stands him apart.
See, one thing that was a big help, you know, which I knew the day I took the job, that this man is my key player. He's my marquee player. That I knew. Now, don't ask me how I know. It's those 35 years.
Yeah.
Okay, when you watch cricket, you see someone who can take it to another level. So my job was getting his mind right? And it didn't take long, because that's why I knew he was a marquee player. You know, it needed a little bit of communication, it needed to get that self-confidence back, and then it became mind over matter. Because no one then, once he smelt the coffee, there was no looking back, because there was no one who trains like him. You know, the sacrifice that goes in to achieving what he's done. So the real hard yards are put, not just, you know, in the gym. It's even while he's batting. You know, he wants the feel. He wants to be technically absolutely sound. He wants his feet in the right position, his head balanced, you know, which is the hallmark of a top-class consistent player. You know, when something is out of place, you know, things can change. And that's why I say at this level, it's not coaching. I mean, the people keep using this word coach. It's not coaching, it's fine-tuning. That makes the difference.
But this consistency
and if I had anything to do 10 years down the line, I'll take out the word coach. I'll say fine-tuning champion, mental expert. Coaching is done under 19, under 23,
You're
all
right,
that.
yeah.
At this level, it is fine-tuning, whether it's for a bowler or a batsman.
But how does one explain this 400, 900 plus runs, close to 1,000 runs, 10, whatever, 50 plus scores? It's just unreal.
I mean, take all that other thing aside. The first thing what you said, for me, is a standout. In Australia, in the modern era, you know, with the amount of travel, 4 test matches in a month, mind you, that was the itinerary. I want to see years gone by, how many teams have played 4 in a month. And then, when Australia is hot, oppositions will tell you what they're capable of. And with that kind of attack, you know, Stark, Johnson, you know,
Pattinson, all of them.
All of them, you know, in there.
Siddle.
Peter Siddle, and then there's, who's the gentleman who retired just recently? Ryan Harris.
Ryan Harris.
Top class customer, you know, top class customer. Knew his job, was a great balance for these two, Mitchell and the two Micks. They can kill sides. And in that 1 month period for him to get 400, I mean, I'm not seeing batting like that, because it was dominating batting. It was not just getting you 100. It was reaching 20 and then taking the attack to the opposition and dominating them. Means only player I've seen batting like that in Australia is Viv. In that dominating manner for that length of time. And as an Indian, I've never seen batting like this barring Jimmy Amarnath in the West Indies.
83.
In 83. His batting there was outstanding. Virat Kohli in this modern era, you know, 400s in 4 test matches. Leave all those one-day hundreds in that. That's all. This is where real bottle comes into play, and
men from the
you
board.
got to have ticker. That all will happen here. One day, T20 chalta rahega.
Virat was with me on India Today for an hour and more, and then he said, even if it's the 88th over of a test match, I will give my 100%.
He will. And you know, and he's a learner. He would have realized even in that series, he got out twice. at moments, he will never want to again get out, because the test series could have been different. He got out last over of the day in Adelaide after 100 in the first innings, and he got out to the last ball of the day in Melbourne for 140. See, this is where you up the ante. As well as he's played, you do not allow him to forget when he got out, so that next time he doesn't do it. Because another 100 the next day, you would have had Australia on the mat. So, you know, this is where the fun comes. In being part of a team, in wanting a team not to be hanger-ons, to be the best in the business.
You know, we've been having this debate for the longest time in the country. Do you see MS as part of your scheme of things in 2019, or should it be that Virat should be given one-day captaincy?
You cannot think that far ahead with 3 formats. You know, because anything can change in 3 formats. There could be injuries.
One is not happening. Test match cricket he's given up.
Yeah, injuries, anything. But it all will depend on fitness and form. And I'm sure the selectors will be watching. It is their job. Fitness, form is the key. You know, Tendulkar...
And this is performance. This is the performance at the end of the day.
Like, for example, Tendulkar played till 37. You know, there are a lot of players who played till 37, 38. But the criteria, no matter how big an individual you are,
You've got to perform.
Form and performance and fitness.
The one question that the whole country is asking, and more with MS now not playing test match cricket, is it time to start thinking that should Virat be given the job across all formats?
I think so. I definitely think so, because you have to see where India is going to go in 3 years down the line. There's no major event till about 3 years down the line when you're back with the World Cups. So this is your best chance to think and build. By no stretch of imagination you're taking away from MS. He's been magnificent.
No one is.
He can still contribute massively as a player. I think the time has come to allow him to enjoy himself and enjoy the game.
In fact, that was the thing. Do you think he will start enjoying more? Because he's
I would think he would, because he has so much, you know, end of the day, it's how hungry MS is, how passionate he is, how, you know, whether the juices still go as wanting to play for India. And also the time has come where you have a guy you have groomed over a period of time who's ready. See, because the gaps between India hardly play any one-day cricket.
Correct.
I mean, if you look at the next 18 months or 2 years, there's hardly any one-day cricket, and the gaps between tests and one-days are massive. So here's your time to look ahead and see what you can do with an Indian side all round coming 3 years down the line. So if you're asking me a question,
and I want a candid answer. If
I'm the chairman of the selectors, I would be thinking in that fashion. No question about that.
And you think Virat is ready to take over all formats?
Absolutely. See, then again you have to see the volume. Again you have to groom there another person. You know, when you suddenly play 17, 18 test matches, there might be an odd one-day series where you might just want to give him a break. So there also you have to groom. See if there's someone ready or not. So, you know, it's a catch-22. It's a hard decision you have to take.
Very hard decision.
Yes. But if, like I said...
Would you follow the Australian example here?
No, absolutely. I would be thinking from now on. See, because Australia has set great templates over the years. You know, Mark Taylor was one of their best. Still had 2-3 years of captaincy left. Steve Waugh. Steve Waugh, when he came down to the finishing line, 2 years left. Ricky Ponting. People thought Ponting carry on. Michael Clarke. Again, now after Taylor, Michael was one of the finest captains Australia
he had to give way to Steve Smith.
Had to give way at a certain time. So the game has to evolve. Hard decisions have to be taken, but such is life.